My name is Heinrich and I'm the Business Development Manager at IncrementalProfit. Today, what I would like to show you is how Onebeat software can optimize your supply chain and your inventory, and the reason why you should be having it in your business. At IncrementalProfit, we have a saying, you can sell more, stock less, and still stay in control. The next screen I want to show you the common issues we see and observe with many of our clients. And if any of these items stand out to you or you can identify with it, it's very much a reason why you should be talking to us and why Onebeat will be helping you. Some of, I think, the most common indicators that you could have a problem is when you look at inventory and you have out of stock of your good selling items, and you've got overstocking of all of your bad selling items or your items that does not sell that much. That is a reason why you should be talking to us. One of the other main things that we see in companies is where the procurement or supply chain depends on an individual or maybe a team of individuals working on Excel sheets trying to establish what to order, when to order, how much to order. And that dependency on that person is a risk to the company, because what is the succession plan you have? So have a look at this, and if some of this really stands out to you, you definitely need to talk to us. But apart from these items, I think the most important one that we've seen is the time and effort it takes companies, individuals, teams to work out what is the optimal point for stock holding, when to order, what to order, how to take seasonality into consideration. When you import from China, how to take things like Chinese New Year into considerations. And what I can tell you is, where we've implemented Onebeat, one of the main advantages is the time and effort we've saved those people, and in the end, even having a more accurate and optimized supply chain. We live in an age where AI is becoming more and more relevant, and what I want to tell you today is, with the implementation of Onebeat, it's a relationship between taking the know-how in the company, which is obviously sitting with individuals, and bringing the software into the team, and then working on the synergy of the strategic mind of the employees, and taking the power of the calculation capability of the software, and then taking it to a next level, working together. And that is the beauty of Onebeat. So what are the results we've seen? Now, these are on average a high level, some of the results we've seen, and yes, these are figures that will blow your mind. Revenue growth. We've seen companies where after implementation of Onebeat and working with Onebeat, their revenue shot up just purely because they've got less out of stocks, if not at all any out of stocks. Reduction in inventory. I mean, we all know that stock is working capital, it's cash tied. And by optimizing your inventory, you can free up cash, which you then can use to do other things, grow your company, expand on certain product lines, whatever. Then when you go to manufacturing side, which Onebeat is definitely capable of helping as well, reduction in lead times, improved due date performance. But as I've just said, I think the best and the thing that makes Onebeat the most attractive, and which will make you smile the most, is it is a simpler, smarter process, and it will make your life just so much easier. And that is one of the best advantages of having Onebeat in your company. So where have we implemented Onebeat? Here are just some of the companies we've done implementations for, and you'll definitely recognize some of these names. And what you'll see, it is across the industry, from manufacturing to retail. There's big companies, there's small companies, and what we're trying to say here is Onebeat is not just suited for a specific industry. Wherever you work with supply chain, manufacturing, and stock, we can help you. Where does Onebeat come from? If you've ever heard the name Dr. Ellie Goldratt and the goal, which is the father of theory of constraints, well, that is where Onebeat comes from. They have developed Onebeat based on the theory they have been communicating and sharing across the world, and the software has turned around a lot of businesses across the world. So you can Google and have a look at theory of constraints, but that is Onebeat is the Goldratt Consulting Group is in Israel, and that is where Onebeat has been developed, and they are still selling it, which I'll tell you a little bit later on. The focus is very much now into retail and fast fashion. Our team in South Africa, we are a small team because we work closely with the team in Israel, but our managing director, David Jansen van Rensburg, has been in the supply chain for many, many years. He's well educated, is well experienced in the field of inventory optimization, theory of constraint. And then, yeah, we've got a team of experts which will help each client from identifying the potential of and potential savings and optimization potential, having Onebeat, until after sales support and helping you along the way in getting the results as promised. So, what is important? And today I just want to quickly tell you how Onebeat works, because if you understand this, you'll understand the software. And we very much work on a color system, the traffic light system here. And as we go through the presentation, what I want you to remember is that when you see these colors, it means something. And basic color coding system is when you see black, it means there's out of stock. Red, it's urgent attention needed because you're going to be almost out of stock. The yellow is more or less in the middle. It's what we call the sweet spot. It's time to replenish. The green is the stock is just right. And then when you look at the light blue, there's overstocking. It's you've got stock sitting in your warehouse or in your shop, which you should not be having, and you can free up, if you can sell those, you can free up working capital. We work with dynamic buffering, and the top of the green is the buffer value, but you'll see in the graph as we go through the presentation that this does change according to the demand. So what I want to explain to you is we work with pipeline, and I'm going to tell you now how it works. So we've got 3 dots on this graph. We've got a stock on hand, which is literally the stock in your shop, the stock in your warehouse for a specific SKU and a location. Then you've got a quantity on order. You've identified that you need to order of more of this product, and then the sum of these two will give you your pipeline. And this is the beauty of, and this is the magic of Onebeat. We look at all 3 of this in order to make sure that there's a continuous replenishment of stock. So it's not you have to wait until a point and then to order. The system will do this automatically. So when you look at a graph, you will see something like this. For example, consumption, which is either you're distributing from one warehouse to the other or you're doing a sale. So you'll see you had stock on hand on day 1, and then you sold, let's call it 1 item, so there's 1 item less. Your pipeline will also decrease by 1 because of the stock that on hand that decreased, although your on order will still be the same because you're still waiting for the stock to come in. So now suddenly your stock on hand plus on order is still your pipeline, but it's less because of the previous day because of the sale. So when you look at this graph, you'll see a picture. And you'll see here, this is your stock on hand. It went down, it went down. That purchase order actually were received, and now your stock went up. Again, still on order plus on hand is still your pipeline. And what happened was, in this case, a person decided to do another procurement order, although the stock went down, and now suddenly the sum of these two is going into overstock status. Now, as I've said, the color system is where the magic lies. So I'm going to look, there's a stock on hand line here and a pipeline. So when I show you stock on hand in yellow, it means my stock on hand is sitting in the yellow zone of this graph. The pipeline is in the green, so this is healthy. On day 2, yes, the stock on hand is in red, which means you need to do something. You are running the risk of out of stock, but I can also see you have done something, because the pipeline is green means there is an order in place, and because of the order that's in place, it's in green. Day 3, same story. Day 4, oh, fantastic, the order has arrived, we are green, and in day 5, you can see here, although the stock on hand is in yellow, I can see an order has been placed, but there's actually been too much placed, the order that has been placed has been for too much quantity of the units. And this is the color system that we use in Onebeat. And as you see now, as I go along, this then paints a complete picture of your supply chain, and within an instance you can see what is happening. Now this is typically a graph in Onebeat, and as you can see here, the buffer does change, and this is something the system does based on the demand. You'll see the black at the bottom is where the sales have been happening. You can see there's a spike. Now you'll see the gray is your stock on hand. So you'll see, oh my word, I went almost out of stock. In this case, we did go out of stock here. Although the blue is where orders has been placed, it means there's orders in process, and because of this, orders has been placed, and we went into a complete overstocking status. And then the call it the light pink here is the pipeline. Now, if you look at this part of the graph, yeah, you can see things are not working. Where if you look at this part of the graph, you'll see there's rhythm, and that's what we call it. There's a beat. There's one beat. Everybody works according to the beats of the system. Sales, there's orders continuously being placed, coming in. The stock is nicely around the yellow part of the graph, and the light pink is on the top of green, which shows this is working. And you will have a graph for this for each SKU at each location, and the beauty is the software will look at these trends and recommend what needs to happen with buffers and those type of things. I'm going to give you an example here. In this case, we've got a SKU. This is the same SKU, 5 different locations. You'll see the buffer size is different, and purely because the sales or the replenishment out of these warehouses are different. What you'll see is this one has got a 68,517 unit buffer, and it's got its own graph, whereas the Cape Town has got less and it's got its own graph. So each of these locations, same SKU, we manage then independently from one another, and you can add here as many locations as what you want or that you have, and the system will then still manage each one and optimize each location. So if I show you this, and this is what I told you, I can, by just looking at this 2 graphs, tell you a lot about this this company. Stock on hand is the top graph, and what stock on hand is literally the stock in the warehouses. You'll see here that 67.3%, this area here, is correctly stocked. Yellow is in the middle, 9.5. Red is almost out of stock. 6.8% of all the SKUs are out of stock, and then I've got 13% in overstocking phases. If I add the purchase orders now on top of this, you'll see at least there's been orders placed to reduce the red and the black, although there's still a little bit there. But even the overstocking end went up, which means there's orders been placed for stock that's not really needed. By just looking at these 2 graphs, you can immediately see what the status of this company's supply chain or stock is. So what does Onebeat have? We can look at procurement, manufacturing, distribution, retail, and we've brought in Takealot because one of the things we've been focusing a lot on is our marketplace sellers to make replenishment of stock to Takealot as easy and as simple as possible to the Johannesburg warehouse, to the Cape Town warehouse, and even to the Durban warehouse. On the retail side, Onebeat has evolved a lot, and there's a lot of clever features that's been built into the retail functionality of Onebeat. But as I said, most of our clients sits in the procurement and distribution and manufacturing space. Now, complete visibility of the supply chain. So this is typically what Onebeat can do for you. As I've showed you, there's a procurement module, there's a factory where we manufacture, there's a central DC, there's stores, there's shops, there's warehouses, and for each of these locations, you'll have a list that will show you the status of that SKU within that location and what needs to happen. In the case of the DC, it will trigger and say, I need stock, get a manufacturing order in place. The manufacturing will trigger the warehouse, which will, the raw materials warehouse, which will obviously drive the procurement. And then the sales in the store will then ask for the main DC and say, it's time to replenish stock to these items. And by then managing the buffers and the replenishment or the manufacturing or the procurement for each SKU, you can optimize your complete supply chain with Onebeat without having to do spreadsheets, analysis, workings, trying to be clever, because the software will do it automatically for you. Okay, how does Onebeat tie into your system? This is just a few examples of some of the ERP systems we work with. But basically, Onebeat sits on top of your warehouse management system or your ERP system, and we pull the data out of your system to analyze it. Then from there, you've got a choice. Either we can feed back into your system, for example, to do automatic purchase order generation, but a lot of the clients decide just to stop here and get the data and then manually create the purchase orders or the replenishment of stock to a warehouse. Yeah, we've even integrated, as I've told you, into Takealot, where we get the data out of Takealot for marketplace sellers and then do the recommendations of what need to be replenished to each of the DCs. So, simple example of physically how Onebeat will work. You've got a login screen. From the login screen, you can see there's a few items. This is our make to stock SKU, where it will give you a whole list. But you can go to Johannesburg replenishment. This is typically a Takealot example, and then it will open a screen and say it's time to replenish these quantities to the Johannesburg warehouse. And what you can immediately see is I need to move here because these 5 items are out of stock at Takealot. This one is almost out of stock. These ones are fine, but don't wait until they get here. Replenish them. Download this list, replenish it. Tomorrow when you open it up, it's a new screen and a new list. As of just a bigger screen here, to give you an example here, they will see inventory at site. There's 0, but we can see there's 1,026 on its way. Because the pipeline has now been filled with a replenishment order, I went from out of stock status to top of buffer status. And that's what you easily can see here. On this one, you'll see here, okay, I'm not out of stock yet, but I'm almost out of stock. But now I've placed the procurement person has placed an order that's put me now into an overstocking status. And just by analyzing these colors, you can immediately and quickly see what's happened. I mean, there's more functionality where you can right click on these and it will open up a graph, and then you can see typically the graphs that I've shown you. These are some of the questions we get. What can Onebeat do? Seasonality, yes, we take into consideration. Long lead items, we can do. End of life, where a product gets replaced with a new version, yes, we can do. These are all the things that we can do. We can do customized dashboards specifically for your company that will paint a picture for your company that will make sense. And that is the summary of Onebeat. So if you're interested, get in touch with us. We can go into further demo. We can even do a simulation for you using your data and to see what's possible. So before even you decide to implement Onebeat, we can tell you that the results we believe we can achieve, and we can then quantify the upside of having Onebeat in your system. If you have any questions, you're welcome to drop us an email and we'll get back to you as soon as possible.